afternoon to all of you, family, friends, my loved ones. For a while there, I was just going to kind of sit back and take everything in. And during the weight that you feel and the shock that you feel and the things that you're feeling at a time like this, a lot of people will come up to you and say something. I had people come up to me and say, "I'm sorry about your dad," or begin to talk to me a little bit and express their condolences. And I found myself so often just saying a word or two that would turn into a lot more than a word or two. And I found myself telling people about my dad. A lot of them already knew everything I was saying, but we would connect. And I was telling somebody the other day, and I just felt the Spirit of the Lord come upon me so strongly. And then I realized that, you know what, I'm just going to stand up and just take just a very few minutes and just tell everybody about my dad and how I seen my dad and some things about him as a man and a person, because it's been a huge help to me to just talk about him and to just talk about some of the good times and the good memories that we have had. He, Dad was unique. We all are. Dad was, I believe that every day that the Lord gave him here was a day that he got out and in his way, he lived life. I mean, he made the most of it. A lot of times people go through life and a lot of their life is controlled by fear and things they wish they'd said, things they wish they'd done. But I believe Dad was able to just lay it out there. No matter what happened, no matter what somebody thought, no matter what they said, Dad laid it on the line. Matter of fact, I think he loved a little shock value. I mean, all of you that know him know that. I don't know if it was the look on people's face that he liked to see, or if it was just the pure emotion of feeling somebody's heart. But Dad would say whatever hit him. And then before somebody would walk away, he would have them smiling or laughing, and they would know that they had a new friend or that they had somebody that they connected with. Talking about Dad as a man, I remember back from the earliest days I can remember, Dad, there were certain things that he loved. He loved to trade with people on things. And he could start with some little small something, and then before you know it, he'd trade it up to something really nice. You know, he had a gift to do that. Now, a lot of us try to trade, and we trade down. Dad could trade up somehow. But, I mean, he'd start with nothing and end up with a nice gun or something. But he liked sales. He liked auctions. He liked going to the goat auction. And I don't know, I'm kind of thinking there must be something genetic about that, because I myself like to get out and go to sales and go to auctions and go to things. So I don't know if it's in the genes or what, but Dad loved that kind of thing. And honestly, I don't know how many of you have seen that movie Crocodile Dundee or watched that Steve Irwin, the Crocodile Hunter, or some of these guys that love animals and nature. Dad had some of that in him. He had a little Crocodile Dundee for sure, because I remember back we were working out in the yard. He loved outdoors, and I looked over and I seen something going on, and he pulled a big, huge cow snake up that must have been 6-7 feet long. And he just began to smile, and he slung that thing around a few times and just slung it down in the woods. And I mean, he thought that was fun. He thought it was good. And if it had been me, I'd been keeping a few feet back. But Dad, things like that, he didn't fear at all. He would go after big snapping turtles, and he liked to fish and catch them turtles. And although them things could take a finger off, he never showed any fear of them. I think he enjoyed getting out there and doing all that kind of thing. And I liked it too. I liked going with him. I remember a boat trip where I had a little bass boat and took him to fish. And we were just going to hunt us a good place. And Jordan was with us. And that boat planed out and got to going down the lake. And the wind would get up and it blew the cap right off his head. And, you know, we all got a kick out of that. And we wheeled that boat around, went back as quick as we could. But the cap had already sunk down. But Dad loved getting out. We loved just loved living life. And I had a lot of chances to do that, and the great times with him that I'll never forget. You know, he loved to laugh. I mean, I don't know a day that ever went by that Dad, if I was ever around him, he laughed. Even when he was sick, even when he wasn't feeling good. And I would be hard pressed to find anybody that ever heard Dad say he ever had a pain of any kind. Because if he did, we never knew it. Because he would never, at times when I was afraid that he might be hurting, I would ask him and say, I don't have a pain in my body, son. And I'd say, Dad, what a blessing that is. And how few people can really say that and mean it. But I remember he got into rock hunting. He liked to go and hunt them geode rocks. And so we had to hit the creek and go on a big rock hunt one time. And I'll tell you what, we sweated a little that day, but we come back with some big nice rocks, and he'd have them all around his house there, and they were beautiful. And those of you, many of you probably went rock hunting with him at one time or another. Stuff that was funny, and it might not sound funny to anybody else, but Dad taught me how to drive. Some people would dispute that because they'd say I still don't know how, but Dad gave me my basic training on driving. And it was a little Ford Courier pickup truck. It was a 5-speed, and he could really handle a vehicle. But as things would go, the day he was going to show me how to back one, and said, son, I'm going to show you how you back a truck. And we got out there, and there's a circle drive. We're kind of back there in the woods. And he hit the gas on that thing, went to backing that truck up, and all of a sudden, bam, backed right into a tree. And so that may not be the way you really want to teach somebody and demonstrate your skills, but we had a good laugh about it. But, of course, I proceeded in the next couple months to need his help pulling me out of ditches and helping me as I learned to get out and try to drive. But Dad, not only did he love all of us and his family, but I truly seen in my life that he loved people. God gave him a gift to love people. A lot of people are introverts. They sink back and they don't really like being around people a lot of the time. But Dad loved people. He, being a teacher for many, many years, I met so many people, and he loved to tease people. He had nicknames for a lot of his students. He had nicknames for a lot of his friends. He would call you pal. He would call you gal. He would call you, and I don't know if he got to doing that because he didn't know everybody's first name or what, but it stuck, and people loved it when you holler at him. And one of his neighbors came by this morning and was saying he would holler and say, hey, neighbor, and would cook pork chops and take them stuff to eat, and they were just talking about how they loved him as a neighbor and as a person. He communicated with people. Dad never lets you be in neutral. You're either going to love him or you might not like him, but he was going to reach out to you. He was going to reach out to you. He was going to talk to you. He was going to holler across Walmart at you, and you were either going to run or you were going to hide. But Dad loved people and connected with people. I don't know how many people have sent me private text messages or messages on Facebook and things on my phone and said, I loved your dad. I've never forgot him. I had him as a teacher. Because Dad made people know that he cared about them and that they meant something to him. And that a lot of us never say, he said. And he would tell people how he cared or what he thought. And I hope I can be like him in that way and in so many ways, that I can be real enough, to tell people what I think and tell them now. And I don't think he ever knew a stranger. Somehow he got just about every class that he taught to go out and take him and buy him a big large pizza at Pizza Hut just to prove to him that he could eat it. Now, that was no problem for him. He could eat a large Pizza Hut pizza. But some of them didn't believe that, and he got a lot of free pizza that way. But he loved to tease and to aggravate. Now I want to just share with you here the things that really, all that he loved. But one of the things Dad really loved was everything to do with serving the Lord. That includes music, singing. Dad loved to tap his foot and put a pair of boots on, and he'd go get taps put on him. I mean, he didn't sneak through life. He wanted you to hear him coming. But Scarlett told me he jumped up on the table at the cafeteria in school, and a cafeteria full of people, and danced and sung for him there. I mean, how many of us would ever do that? Not me. But he loved people. He loved to dance, and he loved to sing. But he loved the Lord. Dad would tell me about God speaking to him and speaking to his heart. Dad got saved, and there were tracts there at the house. There were books. There were Bibles. There was probably a Bible in every room you walked into. And there were Bibles that Dad wore out reading. You know, dust didn't gather on his Bibles because he read them all the time. And I remember Dad would pray for me, and when he'd lay his hands on me and pray, I could just feel the Lord, and I could feel God. And Dad always had that place in his heart for the Lord, and he told me some time back, he said, "Son, I'm not going to be with you a long time." He said, "The Lord has told me that He's going to call me home." And that means a lot to me right now. Because this wasn't an accident. This wasn't something that happened by chance. When it comes time, and the Lord says, "It's time for you to come be with me," as hard as it is for us, the Bible says precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of His saints. The Bible teaches us that when that time comes, it's a homecoming for that person that loves the Lord. Like Dad did, it's a homecoming. It's a graduation. And while sometimes we may have trouble holding the tears back, you all know what he would say. He would say, "Don't cry and whoop and holler." He'd say, "I've made it." The one thing he would tell all of you is, "I want you to be there. I want you to be there. I want you to come and join me." And a gentleman right here was telling me a story about his son. And his son has since went to be with the Lord, but his son, Dad meant something to him, and Dad had touched his heart, and he would come home and he'd say things about Dad, and he got saved, and the Lord called him home too. And I told him, and I said, "You know what, we're going to all be together." And I said, "I'm going to meet your son, and I'm going to see Dad again."
That's right.
So there's going to be a little while that he's with the Lord while I'm still down here. Don't know how long that'll be, but I'm going to see him. I'm seeing him again. I'm seeing him again, and right now he's gone. If you're present here, and when you leave here, you're going to be with the Lord. And I believe he's dancing and singing and having a good time with the Lord, and I'm going to be with him one of these days. And I thank the Lord for that. Dad told me the Lord would tell him to go tell people things, specific things. And they would begin to cry and break down because God had told Dad things that nobody but them knew. And to have a dad that loved God and that had a gift in his life means everything to me. Also, just the times I've had with him, seeing him make people laugh, seeing him sing and have fun, I'm never going to forget that. And me and my family, me and Scarlett and different ones of us, we've talked a lot about them memories, and we're going to talk a lot more about them because that helps lift us up. So I just want to say that I appreciate Brother Darrell and the brothers and sisters here and Sister Diane. Dad told me day by day of what a blessing they were in his life and how he loved to go to church and sing. So I'm going to ask Brother Darrell if he'll come on up now, and thank you all. I just wanted to share some thoughts about my dad. I thank the Lord so much that to have him as a dad, and I just feel so blessed.